Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here, New Life Pentecostal Church, Albany, Georgia. I'm reading out of my Translators Revived by Alexander McClure. And what we're going to look at today is the rules for altering the King James Version. Now, this would have been from 1870, and what had happened is, Fenton John Anthony Hort and Brooke Foss Westcott had really gotten together. They needed to change the vile Textus Receptus, as one of them called it. And so they'd been working on a Greek text for many decades. And so they had gotten the Anglican Church to agree to a revision of the King James Version of the Bible. Been 260 years, something like that, since the King James Version. And so this was the product came out in 1881, and this was known as the Revised Version. They brought it out in toto, like in the Chicago Tribune. And then in 1901, they agreed to wait 20 years to come out with the American version. This is the American Standard Version of 1901, of which the Amplified Bible is based off of, and also the New American Standard Version. The American Standard Bible is based off of that. And many people in America still think the 1901 is the best. I used to read out of the 1901 quite a bit. This was in the 80s probably, maybe into the 90s. I used to like a lot of it. And had some oneness passages in Isaiah I'd never caught before, but overall it does weaken a lot of doctrines, essential doctrine, never caught on in America at all. Okay, so in this revision, and I would disagree now that I know a little more about textual basis, I would say it's really bad. Okay, so the Convocation of Canterbury in May of 1870 laid down some basic rules which were to be observed by the translation groups. These rules were as follows. Okay, number one, to introduce as few alterations as possible into the text of the Authorized Version, or the King James Version, kind of like with the Bishop's Bible and the King James. They start from there. Number two, to limit as far as possible the expression of such alterations to the language they authorized in earlier English versions. That's good. Number three, each company to go twice over the portion to be revised, once provisionally and second time finally on principles of voting as hereinafter provided. I think there was 18 people. And Frederick Henry Ambrose Scrivener, F.H.A. Scrivener, pretty much a received text guy. He kept getting outvoted, he and his block, 12-6. They actually even had a Unitarian, somebody who didn't believe in the deity of Jesus. So like 1 Timothy 3:16, they really liked that translation. He said, yeah, I can deal with the translation that doesn't have God was manifest in the flesh, that we can work with that. Okay. Number four, that the text to be adopted be that for which the evidence is decidedly prepondering, and that when the text so adopted differs from that made which the Authorized Version was made, the alteration be indicated in the margin. To make or retain no change in the text on the second final revision by each company except 2/3 of those present approve of the same, but on the first revision to decide by simple majorities. Number six, in every case of proposed alteration that may have been given rise to discussion, to defer the voting thereupon till the next meeting, whensoever the same shall be required by 1/3 of those present at the meeting. Such intended vote to be announced in the notice for the next meeting. I'm not sure that was always followed, by the way. I've read the notes of the meeting. Number seven, to revise the headings of chapters and pages, paragraphs, italics, and punctuations. Number eight, to refer on the part of each company, when considered desirable, to divine scholars and literary men, whether at home or abroad, for their opinions. Now, of course, we know what happened at the end of the day. They went with Vaticanus and Aleph. Aleph being newly discovered by Tischendorf, now shown to be a forgery. Vaticanus probably a forgery as well. And that's what happened. And that's the reason. Now, they keep recycling the Revised Version. Like in my CBD catalog, I keep seeing the Revised Version. And but again, it just never caught on. You can go to Westcott and Hort. I mean, they're in the Ghostly Guild, the Society for Cyclical Research, seances, socialism, and I've seen like apostolics try to rebut this, socialism means different things to different people. And I'm just like, please stop. I mean, this was a particular historical point of time, and it just shows their incredible total ignorance of the entire time period and the bibliographies. And they're also reading with preconceived notions, and it's warping their views. It's so sad. Okay, so now we're going to go to the resolutions of the Convocation of Canterbury, of which there were 5. That it is desirable that a revision of the authorized version of the Holy Scriptures be undertaken. Number 2, that the revision be so conducted as to comprise both marginal renderings and such emendations as it may be found necessary to insert in the text of the authorized version. That in the above resolutions we do not contemplate any new translation of the Bible or any alteration of the language, except where in the judgment of the most competent scholars such change is necessary. That in such necessary changes the style of the language employed, this is number 4, in the existing version be closely followed, and they really didn't do any of this, Number 5, that it is desirable that convocations should nominate a body of its own members to undertake the work of revision, who shall be at liberty to invite the cooperation of any eminence for scholarship to whatever nation or religious body they may belong. So that's just fascinating. And it's fascinating to me is, not long after that, you come up with the Revised Standard Version, who, KJV's got many and grievous errors and all this. And it's fascinating how doggedly the public has held on the King James Version. It seems to be making some headway, even in other countries, that they're recognizing, not because of English, even though English does go back to Paleo-Hebrew and Greek. They're same languages, basically, in a sense. Long story there. I've done many videos on that. We don't need to repeat that, because I've noticed people watch one video, we've done over 3,000 videos, and they're like, but, I'm like in a series of years, and they're just trying to pick apart one thing that has been answered multiple times over the years. So the only thing now basically is, well, we need an easier to read Bible. We need something easier to read. I'm like, well, where does the Bible say it needs to be easy to read? You know what I'm saying? Even though it was written in the language of common people. And that's the reason, if you open a King James Bible in non-place names, it's so easy to read. Like I just opened the Psalm 143 at random, you saw it. Okay, if you don't believe it was a random, I'll do another one. We'll go to Matthew 13:22. Okay, just start there. He, okay, 1 syllable, 2 letters. He also, 4 letters, 2 syllables. That, 1 syllable, 4 letters. Received, 2 syllables, however many letters. Seed, 1 syllable, 4 letters. Among, 2 syllables. The, 1 syllable. Thorns, 1 syllable. Is, 1 syllable. He, 1 syllable. That, 1 syllable. Heareth, 2 syllables. The, 1 syllable. Word, 1 syllable. And, 1 syllable. The, 1 syllable. Care, 1 syllable. Of, 1 syllable. This, 1 syllable. World, 1 syllable. And, 1 syllable. The, 1 syllable. Deceitfulness, 4 syllables. Don't read the Wall Street Journal, because it'll be a lot harder than that. Of, 1 syllable. Riches, 1 syllable. Choke, 1 syllable. The, 1 syllable. Word, 1 syllable. And, 1 syllable. He, 1 syllable, 2 letters. Becometh, 3 syllables. Unfruitful, 3 syllables. So what do you have? Like 3 words that are over 2 syllables in this verse with several words. And you can do that anywhere. Like, verily, verily, I say unto thee, I, 1 syllable, 1 word. Say, 1 syllable, 3 letters. Unto, 2 syllables, 4 letters. The, 1 syllable. When thou wast young, thou girdest thyself and walkest whither thou wouldest. But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hand. Most of the Bible is 1 syllable. I've done, statistics, and we've done a video on this, like the Old and New Testament is well under, the average word is under 2 syllables in the King James Bible. It's not that hard. It does have some anachronisms, but it's much better have an accurate translation to get the few of those words like besom of destruction, the broom of destruction, get that defined for you, than to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So, interesting stuff. Rules for the revision of 1881. Talk with you later. God bless you in Jesus' name.